$500 in monthly stimulus checks available. Palm oil ban will spark more shortage. We have lots to cover today, guys. Do you have preferences when it comes to buying your groceries? I'm pretty sure most of us do. You know, we like a specific brand of cereal, snacks, cheese, the works, right? Matter of fact, comment down below, what's your favorite cereal? Mine's Honey Nut Cheerios. But anyway, but what if those brands were suddenly removed from the shelves? That's one of the big questions that we have today in our video. Ron here, and as always, welcome back, you guys. Welcome back to the channel. Apart from a very worrying ban of oil, we also have an update on applications for new $500 monthly stimulus checks. Now, before we get into today's discussion, consider subscribing to the channel and also liking this video. Totally appreciate the support. All right, now let's get into this talk here. Have you ever been out basically buying your groceries for the week and you saw yourself have to replace an item on your list just because it was out of stock? I mean, let's just say you're looking for the Honey Nut Cheerios and you had to settle for, I don't know, Fruit Loops or something. Honestly, I probably would swap it out for Special K. Anyway, but it happens, right? Now, in that case, we have a plan B. We buy a different product that might be a bit more expensive, or maybe it doesn't taste the same, but there's an option nonetheless. Now let's go back to the question at the beginning of the video. It's not out of stock, it's completely gone. And that's what's happening with palm oil. Indonesia, the world's top producer and exporter of palm oil, has now banned it from global provision. Now, a few of you guys might say, but Ron, it's just palm oil. Like, what's the big freaking deal? I don't even know what the heck palm oil is. Some of us may even think, well, that won't affect how I buy food. You're dead wrong. It's not just used for cooking. Palm oil is used for so many other things. So let's just list some of the items that need it just to be produced. Packaged bread, ice cream, instant noodles, margarine, cookies, chocolate, pizza dough, just to name a few. You can also add biodiesel, soap, detergent, shampoo, and lipstick to the list. You didn't think it was just used for food, right? And that list is just the tip of the iceberg. Now you understand why this is such a big deal, right? Okay, so James Fry, chairman of commodities consultancy LMC International, he said this: Indonesia's decision affects not only palm oil availability, but vegetable oils worldwide, end quote. Now I know this is a very serious topic, but how awesome is it that the guy discussing oil, his name is James Fry. Okay, anyway, I try to make a little humor of that, but back to the topic. Palm oil accounts for nearly 60% of global vegetable oil shipments, and Indonesia accounts for around a third of all vegetable oil exports. It announced the export ban last April 22nd. Now, until further notice, in a move to tackle rising prices within the country, this is what it is. Fry continued to say this, quote, "This is happening when the export tonnages of other major oils are under pressure. Soybean oil due to droughts in South America, rapeseed oil due to disastrous canola crops in Canada, and sunflower oil," end quote. Vegetable oil has already shot up more than 50% in the last 6 months due to a multitude of reasons, the war being one of them. Now, another negative that we can see from this is some countries have grown dependency on others for such items as this. India gets almost half of its supply from Indonesia, while Pakistan and Bangladesh import nearly 80% of their palm oil from Indonesia. Rashid Janhal, chairman of Pakistan Edible Oil Refiners Association, said this: "Nobody can compensate for the loss of Indonesian palm oil. Every country is going to suffer," end quote. Now, we see comments like this every now and then. You're fear-mongering. There's nothing to worry about. There's no shortage happening. Wake up. You seriously have to open your eyes. These are legitimate news articles, and things are not getting any better out there. The purpose of this is to get the message out, to prepare you guys for what is to come, because it's not rocket science. It's putting two and two together. As long as you read the signs, you'll understand what's coming up next. But just to give you guys a better picture, back in 2018, Indonesia produced 41 million tons of palm oil. And for the year, they were responsible for giving out 57% of all palm oil in the world. Now, a little sliver of light remains though, as they have allowed loading until April 28th. Countries that are dependent from them for oil may have enough supply for the first half of May. But after that, more questions will for sure be asked. Do you use palm oil for cooking? Best get some extra supply before prices shoot up and stocks disappear. There's also no word as to how long this ban is going to last. Now, with so many factors affecting it, we may have to prepare ourselves for the long haul. Now, the worst part about this news is that nobody expected it, and with that, preparations may be more difficult as we start to see people buy stockpiles of this particular item. And even if stocks were left and the shelves were not empty, not many may be able to include it in their grocery list just because of how high prices have skyrocketed for it. Even before the ban, vegetable oil prices have already risen more than 50% in the past 6 months. Imagine in the next month. While we may not know when this ban will be lifted, we do know that applications for new $500 stimulus checks have just started. And here's what you need to know. In Chicago, applications have just started last April 25th, and it's going to last all the way until May 13th. So you can visit the website. I'm going to drop something on the screen or maybe something in the description box. This link will take you to the application website for the program. To be eligible, applicants must, quote, live in Chicago, be at least 18 years old, have experienced economic hardship due to the pandemic, and have a household income at or below 250% of the federal poverty level. That's $55,575 for a household of 3, end quote. Mayor Lori Lightfoot had this to say about the program, quote, the Chicago Resilient Communities Pilot is a way for us to efficiently support the communities and households that were hardest hit by the pandemic with dignity, as well as build on our work to eradicate poverty. I'm deeply proud to launch the largest cash assistance program of its kind in the country as we continue to provide economic relief to residents and strengthen our city, end quote. The program will use $31.5 million in federal pandemic relief money, and in a very controversial yet fast becoming the norm for financial assistance like this, there will be a city lottery for these funds, and only 5,000 recipients will be chosen. But what do you guys think about having lotteries to pick out recipients for financial aid? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. I know I've seen a lot of you guys hit me up in the comments letting me know that you're seeing empty shelves in the grocery stores again. I know it's not everywhere, but I'm just reading your comments. Recently, Wall Street has had rumors that the next recession is at hand, and they provided some of the warning signs that ensures that this will happen. But there's always two sides to this, and as always, we try to be fair, so I'll do my best to present both sides to you guys. Now, on the one hand, you got billionaires like Carl Icahn, Bill Gross, Jeff Gundlach, and they argue that stagflation, which is a recession or even worse, could be in the cards as the Federal Reserve attempts to cool inflation with interest rate hikes. Now, while economists and top bank investment leaders said that the situation is, quote, far from calling a U.S. recession, Lisa Shallot, the chief investment officer of Morgan Stanley's wealth management division, cited U.S. households $2 trillion in excess savings and the possibility for energy independence as key factors in her bullishness. But there are historic concerns of a recession as we are seeing signals of it happening right now. And we all know about history, right? It likes repeating itself. So first up, the yield curve. Kind of sounds like a baseball pitch, but it's nothing like that. But what is it? Well, it's the spread between yields on short and long-term government bonds. So an inverted yield curve where short-term bonds yield more than long-term bonds. This has predicted every recession since 1955 with only one false signal during that time. So basically, if we see an inverted yield curve, we are to expect a recession. And that's what we're looking at right now. Last Wednesday, the difference between the 2 and 10-year yields on the US government bonds, it fell to just 0.2%. Now, this is not a good sign. George Ball, a chairman at the financial services firm Sanders Morris Harris, said the flattening of the yield curve is scaring the bejesus out of investors and traders, end quote. His words, not mine. But what's more, even investors from Goldman Sachs are calling it the same way. Goldman Sachs increases 2023 recession odds. Now, with rising oil prices and multiple negative impacts due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, they are envisioning that the GDP, or the US gross domestic product, would be reduced for 2022, adding to the probability of a recession next year by 20 to 30%. Financial analysts at the bank, they cut their gauge for 2022 GDP development to 1.7% from 2% on a final quarter to final quarter premise. Now, they wrote a note to clients that expectation infers financial development will be down in the first and second quarters, as well as the entire year, noting higher oil and food costs will recoil Americans' extra cash. And it's not like most of us have extra cash to spare. Now, if you guys follow the channel, which you should be doing, you would know that we reported regarding some Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. In fact, it's more than some. Now, with the financial situation of most Americans not getting any better anytime soon, you have to ask the question, what is our government going to do about it? Or are we just left to fend for ourselves during this period? Well, this channel will always bring something to the table that I think will actually help you out. As with the pandemic, Americans did not see growth, but instead expected our economy to keep crashing. Pessimism is seeming to be the norm for most of us as we face multiple challenges each day. And as expectations for the next year build up, it's become apparent that some of our worst fears have come true. Inflation is now at an all-time historical high, with Americans definitely suffering. And as you guys can see, more than half of Americans are concerned about inflation and the rising prices. Now, while we know that prices are affected by multiple factors, factors which are also in this list. It is very easy to see how anxious Americans are due to this. And look at this, 71% of Americans are worried about the price of gas. But what's affected gas prices the most in recent weeks? Well, the war in the Ukraine. With the average price of gas hitting $4 a gallon and the maximum going up to $6 a gallon, prices are ridiculous. And when asked what stresses them out the most, 87% of Americans cite that inflation and the price of basic commodities as the top triggers. But not to mention that stocks of food and basic needs are also being affected by global markets. And as the war in the Ukraine takes even longer, 2 of the top wheat producers in the world are being halted. But what does this mean exactly? I mean, doesn't the United States produce its own wheat? Well, it means that the supply chain will be affected, or in this case, it's already been affected, as some of us have already seen at our local grocery stores. Are there any commodities in your area that's already low in stock? Drop them in the comments down below. Inflation is only going one direction, and that is up. Soaring food prices at the grocery stores. Gas prices jumping 20, 30, 50 cents in a day. Oil and gas companies hitting record profits. Inflation has never been this high since 1982. But every little bit helps. For limited time only, M1 Finance is offering $50 for free when you open up a new brokerage account at M1 Finance. Now, one way that I've found to offset the cost of inflation is to find the companies that are actually paying dividends. They're literally paying you to own their stocks. And you no longer need a lot of money to invest. M1 Finance offers fractional share purchases, meaning you can buy a piece of a stock. Just the other day, I placed an order to buy stocks for just $1. So there's no more excuses, you guys. The wealthy and big corporations always benefit from inflation. Now we can take advantage of it and get these big, powerful companies to pay us. Make sure to get your free $50 when you open a new account at M1 Finance with as little as $100. Now, unlike a lottery, we don't choose who watches our videos. We open up to each and every one of you guys each and every single day. So if you're new here, make yourself at home, subscribe to the channel. You can also hit the notification bell so that you do not miss out on any of my future updates. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. This is Ron. I appreciate all the support, and I will see you guys on the next video.